Okay, what started as a regional conflict is now expanding, and it's happening fast. We're seeing new players jump in, dangerous new fronts opening up, and the consequences, well, they're global. Let's break down exactly what's going on, and more importantly, why you should care.
Right at the heart of this whole thing is something that literally affects all of us, the global supply chain. You know, how things get from there to here. And right now, a critical artery of that system is under immediate threat.
And this number, 10%, tells you just how high the stakes are. That's 10% of all global trade, and it all passes through one single, narrow choke point that has just been directly threatened.
So where is this threat coming from? Well, the whole strategic map just got redrawn because a new player has officially entered the conflict. Houthi forces in Yemen.
That's right, Houthi forces from Yemen are now in this fight. They've formally declared their position against Israel and its allies. And this wasn't just talk either. They immediately followed through, launching their first direct attack on Israel and opening up a completely new front in this war. And here's where this new front becomes a global economic headache. Yemen's location on the map gives the Houthi forces a ton of leverage over one of the most vital shipping lanes on the entire planet.
We're talking about the Bab-el-Mandeb Strait. It's this narrow channel that's basically the southern doorway to the Red Sea. Look, any ship trying to use the Suez Canal to get between Asia and Europe has to go through here. It is an absolutely critical choke point, no doubt about it.
And the threat could not be more blunt. Houthi forces have put out this direct warning, promising to block the strait. If they pull that off, it would cause a massive disruption to the world economy. We're talking about that 10% of global trade we just mentioned grinding to a halt.
To give you some perspective, most of us have heard about Iran's influence over the Strait of Hormuz, right? It's been a geopolitical hotspot for decades. Well, now you're seeing a very similar threat pop up over the Bab-el-Mandeb Strait, putting two of the world's most important arteries for oil and trade at serious risk.
But wait, there's more. At the exact same time all this is happening, the long-running shadow war between Israel and Iran just took a major, very public turn, and it's adding a nuclear dimension to this whole mess.
You heard that right. Reports confirm that Israel has carried out strikes against two separate Iranian nuclear facilities. This is a huge deal. It takes this covert conflict over Iran's nuclear ambitions right out of the shadows and into the bright, open daylight.
And the targets here were chosen very carefully. First, the Iraq nuclear complex. This place produces heavy water, which is essential if you want to make plutonium. That's one of the main ways to build a nuclear bomb. The second target, the Artican facility, produces something called yellow cake. That's the raw ingredient you need to even start enriching uranium, which is the other main path to a weapon.
So just to be clear, heavy water isn't just water that's, a bit heavier. It's a very specific kind of water that you need for a specific type of nuclear reactor, one designed to produce plutonium. So targeting the facility that makes it is a pretty direct way to try and stop a weapons program.
And yellow cake, think about as step one in the whole uranium process. It's basically raw uranium powder. You can't make a weapon with it as is, but without it, you can't even begin the enrichment process that eventually gets you to weapons-grade material. So hitting this facility is like chopping the tree down at its roots.
And amidst all this alarming news, there is one piece of genuinely good news. Despite the fact that these were nuclear sites, thankfully, no radiation leaks were reported after the strikes. That means a potential environmental and humanitarian disaster was avoided.
So here's the most important part. These two huge events, a new front opening with Yemen and a direct strike on Iran's nuclear facilities, are not just happening randomly at the same time. You have to connect the dots. They are deeply linked, and they point to a rapid and, frankly, pretty dangerous escalation.
I mean, just look at how fast this is all moving. Yesterday, a major strike against Iran's nuclear program. Today, a group backed by Iran opens a new front and attacks Israel. And now, that same group is threatening to bring a huge chunk of global trade to its knees.
So, what's the bottom line? First, the conflict just got bigger with Yemen jumping in. Second, that puts a vital global trade route in the crosshairs. Third, at the same time, the shadow war over Iran's nuclear program is getting much, much hotter. And finally, the most important takeaway, these are not separate stories. They're all connected fronts in a much wider conflict.
Which really leaves us with one critical question. We've got new players, new battlefronts, and the stakes now openly involve nuclear facilities. So is what we used to call a shadow war finally breaking out into a direct, open conflict? Looking at the events of just the last 48 hours, it feels like we might be about to find out the answer one way or another.